welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to 12 Days of Shar, which hopefully at some point I will rename. We are officially at the end of the year. That goes without saying because it's December. But at the very end of last year, I created a 2023 books that I was really excited to read, essentially my most anticipated releases for 2023, and I want to do a little check-in. I claimed that I was excited about these books, but how excited was I really? So I want to go through this list and see how many of these books I read, how many of these books I DNF'd, what I rated them, and how many of the books that I am still interested in. If I have not read them, I will tell you right off the bat, I think I did pretty well. I was prioritizing a lot of these books throughout 2023, but I could be saying that and could watch this video and realize I actually did not do very well. But let's get started with my reactions. As always, I'm going to be looking down a little bit just because my laptop, she's down here, so I need to look at that. But as you are watching this video, there'll be a little tiny version of me right here where you'll be able to see exactly what it is that I'm looking at. So let's jump on it. And I'm gonna watch this in 2x speed. If you're new here, I'm just gonna warn you now. I'm feeling a little bit chaotic today. I'm also feeling all of the cozy vibes. It's been a while since I've just sat cross-legged on this little couch with my Swish. I think this is a different one for the video. I've had this for a long time, but look how cute. It's Pining by Maisie Eddings. I claimed that I did really well. I don't even remember putting Pining by Maisie Eddings on this list, but no, I did not read Pinings by Maisie Eddings. Honestly, I couldn't tell you what this book is about at all, whatsoever. Don't know, so didn't read it, and I'm gonna say I'm also not interested. On January 3rd, Rachel Hawkins is publishing The Villa. Now, The Villa is something that I have a general, not the 2 books I didn't read in a row.
I think I did pretty well.
Yes, I know my nails look ridiculous and crazy. I broke one and I'm letting that grow out. Now, I didn't read The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. Honestly, when this book came out, it really didn't have that many great reviews. I haven't seen people give this book more than 3 stars. And genuinely, from the summary upon reflection, it doesn't sound like something I really would care about. So I am no longer interested in this. Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute I put on my TBR despite what I knew about this. I don't like YA. I usually don't. Not always. That's not a hard and fast rule. There definitely are YA books that I absolutely adore. But in general, it's a really hard genre for me to like. This is Talia Hibbert's YA debut. And while I thought I could like a YA, I just didn't. I did not really enjoy the relationship between these 2 characters. I wasn't that invested. And for me, the banter overwhelmed the entire story. I felt like I was reading a book of banter and not a romance. And I DNF'd this about 50% of the way through. On January 17th, we have Mysteries of Thorn Manor, which is a novella. This one is Mysteries of Thorn Manor by Margaret Rogerson. This is the sequel to, what's this book called? An Enchantment of No, A Sorcery of Thorns, that one. I did read this. It's a really short novella. It's a story of what happens between our main female character, our male character, and their demon after the story ends. And I wish I could tell you that I enjoyed this, but I really didn't. I felt like it was just a stepping stone to perhaps a full-on sequel later on. It felt too similar to Margaret Rogerson's other works, and honestly felt like I was reading a lot of rambling. Nothing really happened. It was fairy tale-esque, and honestly, I didn't care. I read it, but I gave it like 3 stars. At best. If I'm being honest, it's more 2.75 stars. 22, it got pushed back to January of this year, and that is How to Sell a Haunted House by Mr. Grady Hendrix. I have read How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. This is a story that I was not expecting at all. It ends up bringing in puppets, which, by the way, I'm not giving you summaries for any of these books. They're in the original video. I would have spoken about them at some point or another. It's about puppets. It's not my favorite Grady Hendrix ever, but I did enjoy it, and I gave it 3.75 stars. The 19th, CJ Tudor is publishing The Drift. The Drift by CJ Tudor. I'm not keeping track as I'm recording this. I'm keeping track as I'm editing this. So you can see the numbers here of exactly how I'm doing, but I feel like I'm not doing as well as I thought I would be doing. But The Drift by CJ Tudor, I honestly wouldn't be able to tell you what it's about. It's a series of stories in this apocalyptic world. I think they're all connected, and my interest in this book has significantly dropped. I haven't read it, but there's a part of me that's still interested in reading this book. Multiple releases coming this year. I haven't read Tessa Bailey before, but I do have some of her books on the TBR. This is the first book in a Vine mess. I think that I'm going to love it. We have Secretly Yours. I did read Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. I listened to the audiobook for this book, and I thought that this was cute enough. I did like how overprotective our hero in this story was. That's about it. The main female character, she was relatable in many ways, but this just feels like an average story to me, and so I gave this book 3 stars. Is releasing her adult debut novel. This is the last tale of the Flower Bride. All I know about this book is that it is a marriage between these 2 people. There's some now. I haven't read the last tale of the Flower Bride. You know why that's shameful? I got an early access copy of that through Fairy Loot, and I still haven't read it. I will read it, and it's on my TBR for this December. I'm gonna count that as failed, but just know that by the time this year actually ends, I will have read this book, so it will not be a fail at the start of 2024. February 8th, She Is a Haunting is released. I think this might be YA, but it just sounds amazing. I haven't read She Is a Haunting.
I think I did pretty well.
And just like The Villa, I haven't heard very glowing things. I haven't heard anything negative, but I haven't heard anything overly positive about this either. It just seems to be a 3-star book for most people, and I've had enough of 3-star books this read. I feel like my average rating is going to be so low this year, and if it's not low, it's because the monster romances and the sci-fi romances and the fantasy romances were coming here to save the day. That's the only reason it wouldn't be. I'm passively interested in the story, but I'm gonna mark it as uninterested. If I happen to see it right in front of my face, or I saw it on sale for like $1, I would pick it up and I would read it, but it's not something I'm actively going to seek out. Her novel, so this is The Haunting of Alejandra, which is being released on April 18th. No. Did I say I thought I was gonna do well in this? No, I have not read The Haunting of Alejandra, and actually I'm very much still interested in this. The only reason I haven't read The Haunting of Alejandra is because it's so fucking hard to get my hands on it. The line in my library was ridiculous. Insane. And I was just reading other things. I'm very much still interested in this, but because I had a pretty hard ban on myself for not purchasing new books. I've purchased new books here and there, Exhibit A, but I have not purchased that many new books. Maybe at the Barnes & Noble 50% off hardcover sale, I will pick up this book because I'm very much still interested in it. Y'all, you might be ready for this. Alexandria Bellefleur is coming out with a new book called The Fiancé Farce. The excitement on my face when I tell you that The Fiancé Farce is coming out and that I love Alexandria Bellefleur, I do. I just did not like The Fiancé Farce. I didn't feel connected to the characters. I didn't feel like they were fully fleshed out. I didn't particularly believe in their romance. I felt like their romance was brushed over and I never actually got to see them fall in love. And just like I had issues with Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute, and that yes, I love banter, but I do not want the whole story to be banter, I feel like The Fiancé Farce was leaning into that category, and so I gave this book 3 stars. Next on my list is Ascension, which is a speculative horror sci-fi, which I think in this case, the less I know, the better. This is releasing on April 25th, and this story is about a snowy mountain that just literally overnight appears in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I did read Ascension, and this was such a surprise because I genuinely love this book so much. I put it on my TBR for a whim just because I happened to come across it. I saw it was publishing in 2023, read the summary and thought, that's weird, and I could be into that. And you know what? It was weird, and I was very much into that. If you like isolated, closed circle, murder mysteries set in snowy mountains with a lot of speculative elements and lots of weirdness, I think you would enjoy this, but beware that there are some undertones of religious conversations throughout this, and then over religious conversations at the very end of the story. But I gave this book 5 stars. I did really love it. It doesn't officially have a summary, but it's expected to be released on May 9th, and this is Superbia by Colette Rhodes, who wrote Luxuria. I read Luxuria. If you've seen a previous video of mine where I'm dressed exactly like this, you know exactly what happened with Superbia. I DNF'd it, and I'm no longer interested in it because it wasn't good. The romance, no. The guy, just straight up an asshole. My girl deserved better. Her past is not clean. And I said this before. I've said this in the previous video. I've said this in the vlog. It was way too early in the series for this to be Astrid's story. Astrid's story should not have been the second book in this series. It should have come much later because Astrid's past is the most complex. Graves is publishing Brooke, which is her second book in the Romancing His Stone series. Book 1 was Titan. If you're not new here, you know what? I don't think Brooke ever came out. I don't think it ever came out. It was supposed to be published sometime over the summer, got pushed back, and then it said it was releasing in October 2023, and then it just never came. I don't think this book ever released. I'm still interested in it, but I'm not going to count it as anything because I generally just don't think this book was published. And if it was published, it was published very, very recently because I checked all of October. It still said October 2023. It just did not come out. Next on this list is Miss Allie Hazelwood with Love Theoretically. Allie
Ali Hazelwood has published The Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain, both books which I absolutely adored.
Theoretically, I did read Love Theoretically. I read that fairly recently. You will hear my thoughts about it in my end of year wrap up, because I'm doing a November and December combination wrap up. It was fine. I enjoyed it, but I thought my girl was a pathological people pleaser and really needed to learn how to set boundaries. I appreciate some of the conversations being had. The romance was fine for what it was. It most certainly was not my favorite Ali Hazelwood, and I ultimately gave this book 3.75 to 4 stars, somewhere within that range.
House Across the Lake, and I loved it. I've read a couple of his other books as well. The only one left is publishing on June 20th, which is his typical timeline. This is a gothic chiller.
I did read The Only One Left, and I hated it. You can take that with a grain of salt, because you know what? I also read The House Across the Lake, and I loved that. This did not like it. First and foremost, I'm gonna say something that I'm not intending to be shady. I'm just gonna tell you this is the exact same premise as The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. Point blank, period. Not saying that anybody copied anyone else, because lots of books have the same premise, but because of that, and because of the opinions that I already had about The Book of Cold Cases, when I read this, I was like, this is equally as fucking boring. There were some merits, some of the twists. I was like, that's interesting, that's fun, that's exciting. But I only gave this book 2 stars because, again, I did not care, and I genuinely thought this was kind of boring.
Coming to the final book on this list, we have The Invocations. I cannot pronounce that word. Invocations? Invocation. That's not it. Anyway, this book right here, I don't know why I'm struggling with that word so much, but I am.
I think this was pushed back. The Invocations, I genuinely think this was pushed back to later on this year. You know what? I'm actually gonna fact check here. Yep, this book was pushed back to January 30th of next year. So just like Rook, I don't have to count this towards anything because it did not release in 2023.
He is coming out with a new mystery thriller, which is releasing on July 11th.
Gosh, and then apparently I just paused the video and completely forgot there were 2 other books. So like Besties, I attempted to read 0 Days, but it's a family drama and not a thriller, so I DNF'd it. And also The Marble Queen got pushed back to 2024. Okay, bye. You know what? This is about what I was expecting for my review and check-in for these 2023 books. Of all of the books that I listed, I think there was only 2 books that I didn't read, maybe 2 books that I didn't read that I'm still interested in. And that is a win in my books. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you did enjoy it. Let me know what your favorite book that released in 2023 was in the comments below, because I would love to add that to my TBR for next year. And I'm gonna see you in my next video. Bye!